So for today's video, I've decided that I'm going to kind of recap something that I had mentioned on my blog yesterday. Just because I don't know who's all read it, and maybe I might say something different when I speak. I've been thinking about it a little bit today, and I don't know. But, so the Monkees movie Head is definitely a trip. I love it. I adore it a lot. It has to be one of the, greatest movies ever. Most underrated movie, probably, ever. It's people don't hear about it enough. People don't see it enough because they think, oh, it's the Monkees. Let's just not bother. They don't realize that it's actually, a thought-provoking movie full of symbolism everywhere. And the things that it tackles are amazing. I kind of think the three major things in it. First off, they're trying to break away from their image. And the movie does a really good job of that just because it itself is so different from what we're used to seeing with the Monkees. And I have something in my mouth, I think. I just finished eating supper, sorry. But the movie is totally different from the TV show. I mean, you even see, exotic dancers and hookahs and, or hookah, I don't know how it's really said. Hookah, yeah, whatever. But, you see those in with the film, and it's just kind of this is definitely not them. And it does a good job of tackling that. And it also has a lot to do with the media and its grip on people, and that in itself could probably explain the scenes with the television flipping through, and manipulation. There's a lot of manipulation going between what's real and what's not real. There's a lot to deal with, all that going on. But as I was watching it the other night, something caught my attention that I hadn't noticed before. And, because see, a lot that I know about Head, some of the symbolism within it, is because it's stuff I've read already. Or things that people have told me on Tumblr or something. And while it's oh, it's so much more rewarding when you figure out something for yourself, or have your own theory on a scene. And I realized something about the scene for As We Go Along. If you've never seen the movie, I hope to not, you really just shouldn't watch the rest of this video because, spoiler alert, big time. I'm sorry, but I think you need to go watch it before you see this. But if you have seen it, listen on. So, we all know, As We Go Along, has Peter walking through a snowy landscape, you got Mickey within the trees, you got Davy in a garden, and you've got Mike walking alongside the beach at sunset. And I was sitting there thinking, this is the only time that we truly know that they aren't supposed to be, on a movie set. There isn't much deception in the way. From, for example, the scene right beforehand, which sets the mood for what I realize is what the scene is. But, how Peter is sitting with the ice cream in his hand, letting it melt because there are starving children in other countries. I forget it was Africa or China when he said, whoops. But, they were starving Chinese, yeah, that's it. They were starving Chinese, so he doesn't want to throw away the ice cream, he's just going to let it melt. And of course, you have the waitress talking to him, and then all of a sudden, bam, she's punched. And the next thing you know, cameras are there, and crew, and you realize it was not Peter, on an extended lunch break, it was him filming something. And all of a sudden, what you thought was reality ends up being the imagined experience. And it just totally turns you on your head, and you're like, excuse me. But the scene really doesn't do that in that way. I mean, it is perceived to be away from the studio. And I think of it as a daydream sequence. Peter isn't exactly happy at the moment. And of course, we also saw earlier, Mickey isn't so happy because he's all like, "Oh, Bob, I don't want to do this." And he walks right out through the back of the set, tears a hole in the background. And I guess deep down inside, each of the monkeys is through. They do not want to do this anymore. They're sick and tired of everything. And right now, it's just from more Peter's perspective, how he's talking to everyone and blah, 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 blah. And like even Davy shows up and it's like, "Do you think I did good?" "Yeah, that was just great." And he kind of goes off. And as Peter sits down and all this kind of like fake snow is flying around, I guess the snow kind of makes him long for real snow. Longs for him to be somewhere where everything is real. And the lyrics, too, as we go along, kind of fit that, you know? Looking for a place. Oh crap, I can't remember the lyrics now. Why could I suddenly forget the lyrics? Those are my favorite songs. I think it's like basically like saying like a place to like settle your mind and reveal who you are. That's it. There we go. But it's all about kind of wanting to get out of there. It's kind of like their goal to be somewhere at one with the nature, and because of that, you know, like the hippies were. And earlier in the movie, there's that one hippie that's on the TV, and he's saying like, "I don't watch television, I don't read the newspapers, I don't listen to the radio." He's disconnected from it all, and hippies have a tendency sometimes to be more at one with nature, like whenever they went out and escaped to the communes after like San Francisco became a tourist place instead of a hippie wonderland. And so here they want to kind of be at one with nature because they want to escape out of this commercialized world that they're in. But of course at the very end, when you see all the billboards, it's kind of a representation that even if they weren't a part of the actual like studio, if they weren't the ones that you see in the advertisements, the media still has a way to affect you. The media is still going to be there. It has its ways and grasps. It does not matter where they are. Kind of like later on in the movie, how Peter tries to say, it doesn't matter if we're in the black box or not. It does not matter if they are in the studio or not. Because it's just going to come out, and it's going to try to pull them in. In some way or another, media is around you, and you cannot truly escape it. I mean, there's always going to be something. There's going to be some sort of ad. There's going to be some sort of movie out there. There's going to be something that wants to try to get your opinion changed. I really did ramble on with this, see what I mean? Like, I didn't mention a lot of this stuff whenever I talked about it being a daydream sequence, which is why I'm happy I re-talked about it here. But that's what I kind of think of it as, because that's the only explanation I could think of while they're randomly out and about, and then it's back to the kind of studio and how Davy starts his little bit of disenchantment, is what I call it, from the set. How he realizes, wait a second, there is something wrong here. Which is amazing. Which I just love that too. There's just so much I could talk about with this movie, and it's just wonderfully done. And I don't even know every bit of symbolism, but I know a lot that goes on behind it, and it's great. I would just love to one day sit down and have a talk to, like, actually have someone to talk to, not just me talking to a camera. Just about this movie, because there's so much about it, and I just love to have a nice intellectual discussion with someone on the film.